Any doubts from previous topics? Okay. So we are into data dictionary. We know how do we work with tables, how do we use structures, and today what we are going to discuss, how do we allow end users to maintain data inside our tables. As you know, end users are working for business and they are the end customers and product users where they are consuming the SAP applications. And sometimes our end users they wanted to perform, they wanted to maintain data directly in the tables. When they wanted to create data inside a table, what is the recommended way and how end users they can go and maintain data inside the tables? That we will discuss today. So there are three options which is available for end users to maintain data. Other than this, they don't have any other facility where they can go and maintain data inside a table. What are these three options? The first option for end user is transaction code. By using T codes, they can create data into database tables, which means, for example, if they wanted to create a customer, then end users they will use transaction XD01. If they wanted to create a sale order, they will use VA01. If they wanted to create a product, they'll use MM01. Like this, whatever they wanted to create in SAP system, each application we have a T code. End users they will use this T code and they'll enter data over there and backend respective tables, customer data which stores in KNA1, sales data which stores in VBAK, product data which stores in Mara. Like this, they'll enter data into this T codes. Finally, backend tables will get updated. This is one way where end users they can go and maintain data into tables. And whatever you see, these are standard tables. So standard tables, the approach is same. For example, there are custom tables, Z product hierarchy, or there is a table Z customer region. So these are all custom tables which are designed only our customer specific. This is not SAP provided tables. These tables only used by our customer. If the end users are working for Amazon, Amazon is our customer. These are customer specific tables. Again, for these tables also, if any application related created, then through application, through transaction, let's say product create, there is a T code, custom T code. By using this, when they create the data, that will come and store in the product table. There is a T code, G region maintain. So by using this T code, they can club customer and regions and backend this table is going to update. So a first approach is using a transaction code. And why this is the recommended approach? Because we have a full control who can access, who is not going to access, who is allowed, who is not allowed. We can restrict, we can create roles, and that roles we can assign to our end users. Then, who are having the valid role, valid authorization, that particular guy can perform the T code so that respect to table gets updated. This is the first approach. And second approach, we have in the company different kind of employees, which few employees floor level they will work, few employees like a supervisors, few employees like managers, different departments we have. And sometimes a floor managers, they are not the regular day-to-day operation activities guy. So he is not performing this creation activities, but he is a manager. He has to take care about something. Then he wanted to perform some actions in SAP without a T code. Then the second way of approach is through programming. So through programs also, we can allow our end users to update the data inside the tables or to read the data, to modify the data. So whatever you can see here through the transaction, through the program, end user, he can perform all the CRUD operations. He can create the data, he can read the data, he can update the data, he can delete the data. All these operations end users can perform using the T codes or by using the programs also. With the help of ABAPers, they can create a number of programs, and using that programs also they can perform these operations. This is second way where end users they can able to maintain data inside the table. And third way, TMG. TMG means table maintenance generator. So uh, table maintenance generator. So this is a tool which SAP provided. Using this also we can enable end users, our end users to maintain data inside the tables. If anybody asks what are the ways we can allow end users to maintain data into the tables is, these are the three waves: by using the transactions, or by using the programs, or by creating a table maintenance generator tool for our users so that they can maintain data inside the table. So transaction code and programs, slowly in our coming classes, we will come to know how these tables are linked to transactions or programs, and how can we maintain data by using these two options. Now we are in data dictionary, so we know how do we create a table, but now that table I wanted to give to our end user to maintain data. But how it is possible, how end users can maintain data inside a table, that we will see with this TMG option. How this TMG option help our end users to maintain data inside a tables, and using this option, can we maintain data only on single table, or is it possible to maintain data in multiple tables? Those things we will see in our today's session. Let me log in into SAP. SC11 is a transaction code. This transaction code only provided to ABAPer. End users, functional consultants, basis consultants, security, they are not provided this access. This is only for ABAPer purpose. Now SC11 transaction code, ABAPer, why he will use to access the database repository objects. These are the objects, tables, views, types, domains, all these objects. Now we created earlier a table. Let's say this is the table, which is a table which stores customer data. It has customer ID and name of the customer and created date and person who created this customer. Let me check to this table. Do we have TMG option enabled? How can we check? Go to utilities, table maintenance generator. We don't have TMG for this. That's where it is coming everything as blank. Now go back. So this is the table which is used to store customer data, and ABAPer, he can access this table through SC11, and if he wanted to maintain data, he will go utilities, table content, create entries. Through we can create data inside this table. This is one option. And the same option can be given to end users? No, because end users, they will never get SC11 authorization, because those are the T codes which are given only for the SAP technical consultants. Now our end user, he wanted to create customers in this table. Then what is the provision we can provide? The provision is you can activate TMG tool, so that you have an option where you can go and create a T code. That T code you can assign your end user, and the end user now he can maintain and use that T code option to create the data inside this table. Now, how can we activate this tool TMG? That we will see. So first of all, before activating this TMG tool, we make sure your table is active. If the table is not active, you cannot create a TMG tool for this table. Second thing, once the table is active, then come to SC11 and enter your table and click on change, and then go to utilities, table maintenance generator option, select. Now there are four main important things it is going to ask you. You need to enter this. So those are authorization object, function group, screen number, recording routine. These are the four main important parameters. First parameter, authorization group. What is this authorization group is? These authorization groups which helps to allow permitted users to access the table. Basically in organization, we have different departments and different hierarchies. Everybody are not allowed to access every information in the organization. For that reason, whenever any requirement comes, we have to decide who is allowed to maintain data inside this table, who is restricted. For that reason, we have this authorization concept. End users, they'll discuss with the function and basis, and then with the help of basis, they'll create these authorizations. And whatever you see here, these are all standard SAP authorization groups. And each authorization group has some set of rules, roles, assignments will be there. And at this moment, what you think is this authorization group restrict people, unauthorized people, not to access the data. For now, here we were creating a TMG tool on this customer master table, and in our organization, I want everyone to access this table to maintain the data. Then I can choose this authorization group ampersand NC ampersand. So this is a SAP created authorization group, and the purpose of this authorization group is everybody allowed. There is no restriction. Since we are in training, I'll be using this. But in real time projects, your functional consultant who requested to create the table, he will tell you what authorization group you need to use it here. If the table is belongs to sales department, there is a authorization group for sales. That authorization group you have to use. So when you use that sales authorization group, only sales department employees are allowed. Other marketing finance department, those employees, they cannot execute or visit see the data from this table. So that is the purpose of authorization group and function group. So this function group in coming programming classes will come to understand. At this moment, it is a container. You just understand function group is a container which we use to store automatically generated programs by this TMG tool. So once you provided all the mandatory inputs, once you click on save, this TMG tool in the backend, it will generate so many programs. Why these programs will be generated? Because you are allowing end user to create the data, to read the data, to update and delete the data on your table. So to make this possible, end user to create, read, update, delete, there are some programs involvement is needed, and that programs are automatically created by this tool. And to store that automatically generated programs, we need a storage container. That is what the function group, which contains all automatically generated programs in this. This function group will be created by your TL in the project, and function groups creation will be limited, which means for a project only one function group will be created because it will impact the system performance, and that function group will be shared to the among the developers to use. Now I'll show you how do we create this function group also. To create a function group, you have to execute transaction SCIT because we need this function group. And once you are in SCIT transaction, SCIT is a ABAP repository transaction. This is also purely an ABAP transaction. And once you are here, select this package objects list. From here, select function group and then specify your function group name. So this is my function group name, and click on display. If this is exist, then it will say it is exist and it will bring you the list of objects. If it is not exist, you will get a pop-up like this to create it. Now click on yes and maintain some short description, function group creation, and click on save. Save as local object, and this save as local object also we do only in the training servers, but in real time servers we will store it under a package. For now, I'm storing under local object because the difference between storing under package under local object is if you store under a package, then your object will be moved from development server to quality server to production. If you store under $TMP, $TMP is a temporary package that is same as local object. And if you store here, you are indicating that this is not for production release. This is only for some training purpose. It will be available in development server only. It is not going to transport. That is the meaning of $TMP. Why I'm insisting here? Because in interviews they'll ask if you say I have some experience and you are saying that I have created a table, then they'll ask you where you have stored your object. Are you used any package to store or used local object to store? If you say local object, then immediately they'll tell you haven't worked in a real-time project. So always you have to say package. Now go with local object. So now this is our function group is created, but function group is created not in active status. This is still inactive. You can see there are some default programs are created. In that one program, which is in blue color, which indicates this program is inactive. And we have another program. So this program, we can say this is active. And to if you use the same function group in the TMG, then you will get error because the function group contains inactive objects. So first, once you create the function group, you have to right click on the function group and activate it. Continue. And ensure that your includes in the function group should be in black color. Then only it says your function group is active. Now, as I told you, function group is a container which is uh, stores the automatically generated programs which help us to create, read, maintain, and delete the data in the TMZ. So now if you see there are two includes and nothing is there, and we will use this into our TMG, and then we will come back again here and see what are all automatically generated programs. So let me use that function group here. This is the second most important thing. And the third one, we are providing our end user to maintain data. So to maintain data, end user needs screens. Through the screens only he can enter information. So that screens we have to provide. And that screens basically you need to enter the numbers, screen numbers. So from 40 to 49s, we have screen numbers. Any screen numbers you can propose, but always SAP best recommendation is always ask system to propose the screen numbers. For that, select the two step and then place the cursor here in the overview screen and then click on find screen numbers and go with the proposed screen numbers. So now system will check in this function group what is the available screens are there. That screens it will propose, and these screens are required for the data maintenance purpose. And you can see here there is one step and two step. By default it is two step and we are using two step, and you don't want this two step, you wanted to go with one step, you can also choose one step. The difference between one step and two step you will see when this TMG is activated when we are going to maintain the data. So these are the three main important things we are completed. First one is authorization, who is allowed. Second one is function group. What are the automatically generated programs or where it is going to capture? And third one is screen. Screens are required for the data maintenance purpose by end user. And fourth, standard recording routine. And what is this is you are creating this table in development server, and end user he wanted to maintain data from development server, and then that data has to be transported from development to quality, quality to production. Then we have to store, we have to create TMG using standard recording routine. So this is development server, this is quality server, and this is production server where live business is going on. And as per customer request, you are creating a table, and on this table you are activating TMG for end users to maintain data. Now, end user who is working in production, he says that I need data to be maintained from development system, and that data has to come quality, and then it has to come to production. So this is their intention. Then you have to choose standard recording routine. If your end user says that create a table and activate TMG to maintain the data, but I don't want data to be coming from the development system. I want data directly maintained in quality directly. Then we have to use no R user recording routine. So that is the reason we use this option. And by defaultly no R user recording routine, because most of the times end users they wanted to maintain data wherever in which system they want. They are not interested in a way to move data from development to quality, quality to production. Because if you wanted to move data from development to quality, quality to production, then it requires a transport request. So this transport request will be generated only when you have this standard recording routine option. So it is totally our customer decision. Based on customer decision, we will choose any one of them. Right now, I'll be going with no R user recording routine because my end user wanted to maintain data directly in the production. Now, once you provided all these four mandatory inputs, click on create and click on save as local object. Now you can see in the backend automatically few operations are going on. Those are tables creation or programs creation, screens creations, which is doing by the TMG tool. Now a TMG tool which completed operations of this automatically generated programs, everything which is done. Now the TMG also completed, you can see a request completed without errors. And if you go to SE80 again in the function group where our automatically generated programs are stored, right? If you refresh this, now you can see these are all created under our function group. We have function modules, subroutines, PI modules, dictionary structure, so many. And who created this? This is created by TMG, for which we just activated on our table. And this automatically generated programs help us to create, read, update, delete the data. Now TMG is done. You can go back. So now what is next? Now end user can go and maintain data into this table. Yes, he can maintain it. He has facility to maintain because now TMG is activated. Then how end user will maintain because he don't have access to S11, right? So now end user he will maintain data using transaction SM30. SM30 is the SAP provided P code. If any table which has TMG, end users they can come to this T code and enter the table and click and maintain so that they can maintain data inside the table. By clicking on new entries, they can enter data. And sometimes you see here a plus symbols instead of uh, detail names. So this is because of the data element or the one which you have used inside the table. And if you are not getting proper descriptions, the first thing what you need to check is inside your table, have you created any proper field label or not? So if you see name is not coming, I can see customer number is there, created on is there, created by is there, but not name. Why? Because name I have used a data element character 30 and this field labels are blank. That's where I'm not getting plus. I'm not getting any label here. Whereas other fields, we have a proper field label. If I go to Kunar, we have field label customer. If I go to ERDAT, we have field label. So if you wanted this plus to be removed and get the proper field label, here maintain appropriate data element with field label so that you will see the name details here. Now, auto spares and created on today and created by John. Save. Now data was saved. So if you go to the table, execute. Now you can see this is the entry we just created. Now end user, without going to the SC11 table level, directly can create data here. And you can see the data in the initial stream. And if you wanted to delete the data, so you can select and delete. Save. Now when you go and check in the table, refresh, now you can see data was removed. If end user wanted to modify the data from for auto space to for us spare parts, save. Now when you go and refresh, now you can see data was updated. Now how it is possible data end user can create, modify, delete, how all these things are possible because of TMG tool. So this TMG tool which generated a lot of programs, those programs help to maintain that information. And also if you observe here, when we have activated TMG on our table, we have given few settings, right? In that screen numbers. So you have two-step or you screen single screen is nothing but whatever you see, which means whenever end user loads the table, click on the data, maintain. Whatever you see, data which is exists in the table and all the data which is present in one screen. This is a screen, and this screen number is 1, and this is called overview screen where all the data which is defaultly shown. And after that, if in this screen user have new entries where he can create a new entry, user have modify option or delete option, right? So whenever user click on new entry, one more screen is coming, and this is called second screen, single screen, where end user can create a customer. So this is what overview screen and single screen. And these screens, whatever you are seeing here, these screens are designed, and that design which is happened automatically by our TMG tool. If you go to SEAT, our function group, here you can see screen numbers 1 and 2. The screen numbers which are created by our TMG tool. So in the screen numbers you have logic. And why this is also important, because uh, when you are working, it is not only create a table and activate the TMG and display the entries. And users later point of time they'll come to you and they'll say, let's say if there is a delete action which is going to perform by a person who is access this table, but you should not allow end users to delete the records. You need to restrict it, which means you have to write some code, extra code, which is not provided by SAP. And as per your customer request, you need to implement some logic. Then you are going to enhance the automatically generated programs. So this PMG is a tool later point of time ABAPer still use, still he can enhance the code to satisfy customer needs. So that's where it's a very important topic. And as a ABAPer, most of the times you'll receive requirements to create these PMGs, and as well as some custom involvement like validation logic or uh, fields should be grayed out, should not be input enabled, or sometimes some price information will be there. If price is more than 100, you have to display a different colors. So lot of requirements will come on this PMG tool. And you need to remember, you can also fulfill your customer needs by enhancing the programs which are generated in the background. That is also SAP ABAPer can do. So now end user have access to maintain data into the table. But even though sometimes what will happen, end users they'll come to you saying that even SM30 access also restricted for us. We are not allowed to use SM30. Then what is the other way? If that is also restricted, then for your end user you can create a T code, custom T code. How do we create? Go to SC93. Here specify your T code name starting with G7 customer maintenance. So this is what a T code name, and click on create and provide short description, customer maintenance T code. And now you need to choose the right transaction type. We are creating T code on top of table. So you need to select transaction with the parameters. You have to select this one. Click on continue. Now here you need to enter a transaction where they are not allowed to use SM30. And when we call SM30, we used to get a screen, right? This is the screen. So this screen, which is not required for end user, and end user, they wanted to see directly the screen which is coming with directory entries. So for that, we have to skip the initial screen of SM30. And then most important thing, you have to maintain two parameters. One is view name and another one is update. So these are the parameters you need to remember and provide. In the view name, you have to enter your table name, and in the update, you have to enter X. These are the two parameters you have to provide and then save as local object. Now done. T code is created, and this T code you just gave to your end user. Now end user, he will enter this T code in the command bar whenever he wanted to maintain customer data. And once you click on enter, directly it will show you the screen where they can go and create new entries, or they can go and delete or do whatever they can. Sorry, automobiles created on so and so date, created by Henry. Save, go back. Now all the three records which are visible here. So this is the way they can create data. And also if you observe, there is no transport request generated during the data save. Why? Because we have created our TMG, no standard recording routine. No standard recording routine means no transaction code will be generated. No transport request will be generated. And this table, with the T code access, end users, they can directly go to production system, and in production system they'll enter and they'll maintain. And this T code level also, we have a authorization group. Where is this? Okay, it is not here. So authorization group, which is only by a TMG tool. So now what happened? If anybody trying to execute this T code, so now this T code, it will call this view or table, and this table, it will call the TMG tool, and that TMG tool which verify whether user has a proper authorization or not against with this authorization group. And if that authorization is available, then it will display the entries like this. If authorization is not available, when he enters something and click enter, he will get error message saying that you are not authorized to access this T code. So this is the way we will create a TMG tool on top of tables, and we will assign to the end users so that end users can create data inside the tables without accessing SC11 or SM30 transaction codes. And this is commonly received requirements, and as a ABAPer, when you join in any project, so definitely you'll receive this requirement from your end users to create. So what we learned today is, if there is a table, on the table end user wanted to maintain the data, what is the provisions we have? In those provisions, the first provision or the one PMG tool that we have discussed, how end user can create data inside these tables using the TMG option. And to activate TMG, what are required? So which one is used for what reason? And every point what you select, everything is important, everything is connected. So if you are selecting some option, there is a reason. When you are practicing this same concept, if you are not understand anything like what is the link, how it is updating, or why I am selecting, why I am giving, you can approach me. I'll explain you, because understanding is more important rather than completing the task. I'll be stopping with this today. Any doubts so far? Okay, tomorrow we have a class, and that is especially for programming related. We are going to start programming tomorrow, and whoever already into programming, they may not need it to that particular session, and whoever not joined our programming basics, they are invited to join tomorrow session. So tomorrow at same time we have. See you at tomorrow at the same time. Have a nice day. Bye.